that there's something that's yours, there's something that's sacred, there's something that's powerful and beautiful that just you share. And when they realize that they have to share that with other men, it completely diminishes the man. A recent cultural example of that, obviously, is what's happening with Nina Agdal. She's not a worker by any means. She just kind of said some things on the internet about wanting, and look at what...
Was not expecting that from Candace.
I'm quoting her directly, so this is purely academic.
Candace Owens obliterates these OnlyFans workers with the truth, exposing how they are ruining their future, dating, and any chance for marriage, as Candace Owens lays down the reality of the consequences of doing OnlyFans and how men will not take them or their 3 or 4 past right on the internet for everyone to see, seriously, ever. Let's get in.
Having done OnlyFans, continuing to do, has it had any negative impacts on your dating prospects? Does it make it harder to date? Has it been maybe non-issue at all? Some guys like it.
I've never had an issue with it, dating-wise. No one has ever, because I'm very upfront too. You know, first date, if this is what I do, if you don't like it, this is how I make my money. Unless you're going to pay me the same amount of money I'm making, then I'm not going to stop supporting myself. But yeah, I never really ran into issues. But again, I don't do full content or anything like that. So it probably is a little bit different for somebody on OnlyFans that does do that type of content. But I personally have never ran into an issue. My boyfriend at first was, I told him and he was like, okay, well, if I'm going to date you, I have to be okay with this. And that was that. And it's never been an issue.
Sorry, I was asking a question. What kind of content do you do on OnlyFans?
Mainly topless content.
Okay.
So,
and you currently have a boyfriend?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Just, that's the extent of it?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Essie?
I've also never had an issue in my dating life. I don't date that often though, but
right, because you've been single for 6 years.
Yeah.
But it might not necessarily be related to that you're now doing.
Yeah, I also don't do on OnlyFans, so it's just like lingerie content.
Oh, okay.
So I think that
right.
also maybe helps because
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Question here for Candace. So, what are your thoughts on work, and do you believe that a woman doing OnlyFans might have an impact on her future romantic prospects, and if so, how and why? I can repeat any. That was a lot, so let me know if you need me to repeat anything.
I talk about this extensively on my show. I mean, the truth is that if you are going to engage in sex work, you are going to probably make a lot of money, especially if you're young. You're on a very tight rope. As you get older, your value goes down, and men are going to want women that are younger and available to them. I'm talking about in terms of just making the person who will subscribe to your page. Obviously, women, you're declining as you age. And the truth is that high value men don't want to date women that are sex workers or even women that aren't sex workers and lean into the whole talking about how sexy and are freely available on the internet for other men to see. What we're talking about is biological proclivity. What men are doing when they first say, this sounds amazing, to date a stripper or to date a dude or to date a sex worker, is there's this instinct to have sex. It's going to be amazing when have sex all the time. But then when they realize that actually a form of wanting to be in a relationship is feeling that there's a mystery to a woman, that there's something that's yours, there's something that's sacred, there's something that's powerful and beautiful that just you share. And when they realize that they have to share that with other men, it completely diminishes the man. A recent cultural example of that, obviously, is what's happening with Nina Agdal. She's not a sex worker by any means. She just kind of said some sexy things on the internet about wanting, and look at what...
Was not expecting that from Candace.
I'm quoting her directly, so this is purely academic. Purely academic, and look at what happened. Now Logan has become the laughing stock of other men as they piece together everything that she's ever said that's overtly sexual. And again, she's not a sex worker, but what happened is her value just completely plummeted because this thing that men need to feel. And I don't want to say possession in a way that sounds bad, because it's not bad. It's actually really beautiful. And I'm lucky and fortunate that I get to experience that in my marriage, and it's something that women should strive toward. women that make those exchanges in their youth, I think that's sad, and I do feel bad for Nina Agdal, is because she said a lot of those statements when she was really young. She's probably your age. And she had a camera and she said it, and it lives forever. Right. And now every man that she dates is going to say Dylan Danis has made her available to everyone. And I hope things work out between her and Logan, but if you don't think that that's going to impact Logan, or that's not actively impacting him as a man, it is. So with women, it's a trade-off. First thing you said was, I make money, this is about money. It's about money, but when it comes down to marrying these women, men just don't want it.
And that's exactly.
Candace Owens is 100% spitting facts, and I'm glad that she's using the male's perspective when she's trying to tell these trans girls that, hey, you're like completely destroying your life, because no man's ever going to take you seriously. And especially if you're making a fool, of yourself, yeah, you will be the laughing stock, because every other guy is going to be looking at you. It's like, what are you doing? Like, your woman's making you look like a fool right now. And no one wants a used car that's got, 400,000 miles paying top dollar. No. Yeah, these girls don't understand. You can have one or the other. If you're going to go this path, that's fine. You'll make money, but you better manage your money wisely, because odds are you're going to end up alone. And in this day and age, in the internet age, where everything's online, I mean, anything you say or do, they can go back and they can find all that. All these girls freaking out on Instagram, telling everything. Any guy can go and find all of that information about you, telling, your boyfriend's secrets out at the time, making him look like a fool, making yourself look like a fool. It's like these women just go without thinking of the consequences of how men perceive them. But then they complain about when men have a difference of opinion about them and what they do, and then they want to try to attack them. No. If you're going to listen to a man, you're going to respect his opinion and not make a fool out of him if you want to be with him. That's what any self-respecting man is going to ask of their woman. But let me know down below if you agree with Candace Owens that these women are never going to find a real relationship, and hit that like button and notification bell if you're enjoying the video. And if you want to help support the channel, there's a link down in the description. Let's get back in.
Exactly why I said that in this industry, I'm single until I retire.
But it will still matter.
I don't plan on doing this or getting married or finding the love of my life until I retire, like truthfully. And then after that,
you see what happens to Nina Agdal.
No. And then after that, I will be honest and truthful with the person that I will be getting married to or whatever, and it'll be up to him to accept that, right? So,
I'm just saying that men's decision. Natural proclivity is to not accept that, because it brings them shame. Men are biologically proud creatures.
I understand, but not everybody can be like.
No, I know. I'm not. I'm just telling you what is happening and why people are. I'm just talking about cultural events, the Nina Agdal thing, and if you look at people like Emily Ratajkowski, she's obviously hot, but this is a woman who's now trying to make divorce chic, and I think that the understanding is in Hollywood is, sleep with her and move on. She's not marriage material. Her husband, when he had her, cheated on her because they didn't have that thing. I feel like I've slept with the girl. I've seen her naked so many times, right? So there's nothing special about Sebastian Baer marrying her, because we've all seen her naked. There's nothing sacred in that relationship. And I'm just speaking on telling you, this is why women struggle to get married when they've made themselves available on OnlyFans, because other men don't want to share. They don't want to share their wife. They maybe will share their girlfriend. They might think it's fun to date a stripper for a little bit. They might think, oh, this means I'm going to have 12 times a day. But then when it gets down to just their biological instinct, it's actually quite embarrassing for them as a man, because they can look up your girl and here she is, so that's what I think is happening.
Yeah, I'm just curious about your opinion on this, because I've seen like a couple of people in like Red Pill spaces, like Tates or people similar to that, talking about how they should marry a young woman. Would you agree or disagree that that might not be the most like rational course of action?
To marry a young woman? What do you mean by that?
That I hear a lot of men talk about how a woman inherently loses value as she gets older, and that's why that they should seek out young women.
Well, I live in the South, and a lot of people get married young, and I think it's really beautiful and wonderful. They preserve this sort of innocence. I have people that work for me that want to get married at 22. They drop out of school. So I don't think there's anything wrong with marrying when you're young. I'd have to see the full context of what they're talking about, because I do think, obviously, the longer you wait, and especially in this society that's creating this simulation that equates to freedom when it doesn't. That what he might be suggesting is that the longer a woman runs free, the more partners that she's gathering, and her worth is being diminished. And I think that there is some veracity to that. But if it's said in a way that sounds a little crass, like seek out younger women because they're not as used, and I can see why people would be offended by it, but that might be underpinned by a little bit of logic. So I'd have to see the clip in its entirety.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking is because in general, I think men do have a biological proclivity. I can't pronounce that
Proclivity.
word. Proclivity. To seek out like youth and beauty. But I also think when it comes to like settle down, you want a mother who's going to be responsible and good towards her children. So I think the idea that like men seek out beauty is true, but I also think men seek out a level of like responsibility and maturity that only comes with age.
Yeah, Candace Owens is right. It might sound crass, but yeah, when you deal with older women, there's more baggage. There's more trust issues. There's more crap you got to deal with. Why? Because this woman has had bad relationship after bad relationship for whatever reason, one way or the other. But now you have to deal with that, when she's 35 or she's 40, and then you're fighting through all of these past bad guys who gave her a bad experience and dealing with all that baggage. And it makes it harder and harder and harder to actually have a relationship. And every statistic shows that after a woman has gotten like 2 bodies, like your chance of having a long time happy marriage all the way through drops by almost 50%. Like the drop off is huge. So if you got 50 bodies over 20 years, yeah, I mean, you're gambling. You're rolling the dice on this, and it's not a safe return for a guy. That's why young women, both for their beauty and the fact that they haven't been damaged, is exactly why men search for young women, because it's a safer investment to lay down their roots. But thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Candace Owens had to say completely destroying these OnlyFans girls in this clip. Thanks again, like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.